Lesson 8.4, page number 595. Converting between the two systems and temperature. Now, what we've done in the past is we looked at the U.S. system and we converted gallons to ounces, feet to yards, acres to square feet, those kind of things. And then we also went to the metric and did meters to centimeters. We did liters to milliliters. We did square meters to square centimeters, and basically kept the U.S. and the metric system separated from each other. Well, in this lesson, we're going to combine the two. So maybe you've got the length of a board and it's measured in feet, but for some strange reason you need to find out how long it is in meters. So it's learning how to translate back and forth between meters and the metric system and the U.S. system. Well, one of the things that's important is there has to be a conversion point, meaning there has to be something. Remember, in previous lessons, we knew that 1 foot was 12 inches. That is pretty much a conversion factor. That's what jumps us from feet down to inches. And then from then on, we're in inches. Well, we need some kind of a conversion factor to change us from maybe meters to yards, or gallons to liters. So we need something to help us translate from the metric system to the U.S. or the U.S. to the metric so that we can make that jump. And what that is a one conversion. You're going to stick with just English until you get to that jumping point, and then you're going to jump to metric and stay with metric, or vice versa, metric to English. So there's a table on page 595, bottom of the page, and that table gives you those little conversion factors, or those little conversion links, for lack of another word, that are going to bring the metric system and the U.S. system together. Also, if you look at the top portion of 595, it gives you 6 basic units there. Kind of compares a little bit about what those metric units are compared to the U.S. For instance, number 1 says a meter is just a little longer than a yard. So a meter, is going to be about this long. Actually, a yard is 36 inches, a meter is 39 point some odd inches. The length of the edge of a sugar cube is about 1 centimeter. So, it's a little less than a ½ inch. A liter is just a little bit more than a quart. You get one of those water bottles that are about 32 ounces. Those are pretty close to being a liter. So it kind of gives you an idea there as far as weight is concerned, and volume and length. So let's start at example 1 on page 596. And they're asking us to convert inches to centimeters. And they're converting 8 inches to centimeters. Well, we do it the same way. 8 inches times line. Inches on the bottom. Alright, now the question is, do we know anything about inches compared to centimeters? And that's where we go back to page 595. And because inch is a length, we're going to look at that first bit there where it says length in the middle column. Let's see. Yeah, it does. It gives us 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. 1 inch, 2.54 centimeters. Our inches cancel. This is over 1. So our answer is 8 times 2.54. And in this case, it's 20.32, whatever we didn't cancel, centimeters. So it's done the exact same way that we've done conversions all along, except that there's a conversion to take us back and forth between the U.S. system and the metric system. Let's look at example 2. Convert 80.5 kilometers, and we're converting that to miles. Okay, so we're converting it to miles. Get our kilometers here, and then our question comes up, do we know anything about the relationship between miles and kilometers? Well, we look back on that page previous, page 595, and kilometers in miles is a length, let's see, middle column, 1.61 kilometers to 1 mile. Okay, that's over 1. We cross out our kilometers. We're left with miles, so we know we're done. So we have 80.5 divided by 1.61. This is where a calculator is going to become handy. And we get 50 miles. So 80.5 kilometers is the same as 50 miles. It really helps because so many things nowadays are done in the metric system. It's nice to be able to compare those and go back and forth. So the following examples kind of go along with that. Let's see if there's some that are going to be a little tricky there in the examples. Probably the only one that looks a little tricky, example 3. We're converting liters to pints. And we're converting 3 liters to pints. So we do our 3 liters times line. We go back a page to see if there's anything on there as far as liters. Liters is volume. Anything on there that has to do with pints. We have 1.06 quarts to a liter, but we don't have anything there on pints. Well, let's move in that direction of quarts. At least we turned it into the U.S. system by that, because we're going from metric to U.S., so we might as well flip it. We'll do our translation right here in this step. Move it from metric to English. And what do we know? Let's see. 1 liter, 1.06 quarts. So that doesn't give us what we want, but at least it puts us in the right system. So because it's not what we want, we draw another X, draw another line, put our quarts down here because it's up here. Now we can look at just English and say, all right, do we know anything about quarts in pints? Well, if you go back a couple lessons, you know that there are 2 pints in 1 quart. So we can cancel our quarts. That is what we're looking for, so we stop. And we multiply our numerators, 3 times 1.06 times 2, and we're going to divide that by 1 times 1 times 1. So 3 times 1.06 times 2 is 6.36 pints. Okay, so that's it. One final bit of information in this lesson is we're going to do some stuff with temperature. Haven't done a whole lot with temperature, but nothing drives me more crazy than driving past the bank or something and seeing the temperature outside in Celsius and driving by the bank and never really seeing what it is in Fahrenheit. Well, there is a formula in order to change back and forth given Celsius, and you plug that number into a formula and it'll give it to you in Fahrenheit, or you can put it in Fahrenheit and plug it in there and get Celsius back. So if you look on page 598, top of the page, there is a table, and that middle section again, it says C equals 5 times the quantity F minus 32 all over 9, and below that it has F equals 9/5 C plus 32. Those are the 2 formulas in order to go from Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius. So in example 6, it says convert 120 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. So what you have to do is you have to look and say, what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for Fahrenheit. That being the case, I use the formula right above that has the F by itself. So because I'm looking for F, or looking for Fahrenheit, I use the equation that has the F by itself. If I am looking at example 7, a man with the flu has a temperature of 102 degrees Fahrenheit. What is his temperature on the Celsius scale? So on this one, I don't know the Celsius. So the Celsius is unknown. So I use the top formula where C is by itself. All right, so I'm going to turn this off and do an 8.4b, and we'll do a couple of those with transferring Celsius to Fahrenheit and Fahrenheit to Celsius.